slug back from Maryland, our early season crossbow hunting trip, and I got to go unload all this stuff, unpack it all, put everything back, get ready for the Pennsylvania crossbow season coming up in just 2 weeks. Can you believe that? We had a great trip in Maryland. Maryland's a real eye-opener for me because they really manage, the places where we hunt at least, they really manage the timber, and there's a lot of tall timber, but it's an open woodland, and the terrain down there very flat, but it's very good, thick, diverse habitat for white-tailed deer. And we had a great trip. I can't wait to share those videos with you in the coming weeks. Today, however, I'm going to show you the video that I uploaded last week when we went to Maryland, and for some reason the sound got all messed up. I don't know if that was YouTube's fault or my fault, but I'm going to fix it and share this video with you now.
I found a shed. It's up under some leaves, so I haven't actually touched it yet.
It's kind of hard to get back here. She's got so much.
That's the point. It's working.
I guess. That's a big one.
Right down here.
Oh, man, you got good eyesight if you found something here.
See it?
Where are we looking? Oh, it's sticking in the ground.
Ready?
Yep.
Big reveal.
What is it? Just a leftover, huh?
Yeah.
Still clean it up, be kind of cool.
It was a decent size buck, though, I think.
Yeah, and a nice healthy one too. A nice
Yep.
healthy break off there. There's nothing bad about that.
Yep. Just been there a little while.
Yeah.
Still cool, though.
Good job, kid. I am going to keep doing some Friday videos for you about habitat management. We'll keep calling it Food Plot Friday, but it's not just about food plots. I got to talking to Genevieve here, and we were talking about different options, things we can do down the road. And man, I don't want to stop doing this series. I think there's some really fun stuff to talk about. Look out here. If you look behind me, we have what, Genevieve?
The 100-year-old apple tree.
100-year-old apple tree, 100%. And it's doing, that doesn't look real good, but in all seriousness, that ain't that bad. It's got a lot of dead stuff down the bottom, but that's where it's shedding those branches and putting on new growth going up. 2 reasons for that, I do believe, is the fertilization I did years ago, back in about 2017, I think it was. That might not have been the best thing for it, right? But we'll talk about that down the road. But the other thing is, it needs to have some of those trees, that canopy behind it, cut out, so it's not competing against those trees behind it for sunlight, or for the moisture in the soil, the nutrients in the soil. I'm going to take care of that over the winter, but there's other trees planted here too. Those will also benefit from opening up the canopy. Now look right up here. If you look on the other side of these cages, all the wire fencing I've got, on the other side of that there's 2 trees I'm going to hack and squirt. Genevieve and I were talking about whether we wanted to hack and squirt those or hinge cut them. And really, hinge cutting, if you cut it off a little bit, tip that tree over, a great tool to direct deer travel. I'm not so much worried about that, because if the deer come into this area, they're going to be sticking to the trees. They're going to be out in front of the trees, right? Give me a shot by the trees. I'm not worried about them coming over here by the blind. If the blind's on this side, that's not a problem. So necessarily, at this point, would hinge cutting be the ideal option? Not really. I'm going to hack and squirt them just to kill those 2 trees to add a little more sunlight down in here, okay? And they'll die over time, drop their branches, and everybody's happy. Next spring, they won't even green up. They'll just eventually break off and die. I can cut them up for firewood if I want to do that, whatever, right? But the other thing about hacking and squirting, come on out here, Genevieve, a little bit. Let's look out here. Out in there, that's going to be pretty thick next year, isn't it?
It's pretty dark right now.
It's pretty dark right now because the trees are all cutting out that sunlight. We've done a little bit of hinge cutting right here on the edge, but as you go back out into the woods, if you look out there, there's some dying trees out there that are victims of the hacking and squirting. It's working very well. I'm doing that flat spot out through there to increase the likelihood the deer will bed out in there, increase the food supply out there, the natural vegetation will grow up because of all the new sunlight. We're getting rid of all the scrubby little trees, that kind of stuff, to make the sun, allow the sun to go into the forest floor. Now I'm only doing straight out through there. We're not doing the whole area. We're opening it up. You're still gonna have tall trees on this side, still gonna have tall trees on this side, so it won't get all day sunlight, but it is definitely gonna improve the amount of sunlight. And if they start bedding too close to this orchard, so I can't get in there to hunt them, then what can we do? We can put a little food plot out in there, right? And we can hunt that food plot too, hunt the food plot and the orchard, alternate the 2 spots, whatever, but that way they're not bedding right on top of the orchard. They'd be bedding on the other side of the food plot at the closest. The other thing I was talking to Genevieve about, if you look down in here, A lot of tall timber. This is not ideal habitat. This is what some people would call like a desert for deer habitat, because it's just a tall area. I call it more of a transition area, the tall stuff like that. I do want diversity of habitat. I do want tall trees because I want places for turkeys to nest. I also want a transition area for bucks that might come out of the swamp down below to come up here. I need a transition area with open timber where I can take a shot, where I can hang a tree stand, that kind of stuff. And if they're going to the bedding area up here, I want to be in between those two, right? So we probably won't hack and squirt or hinge cut, maybe hinge cut a little bit to direct travel. That's not a bad tool there if I want to do that down the road. But really, we're connecting two bedding areas on this property that we're familiar with that transition area. So I'm okay with that. Probably leave this stand of timber in it alone, right? The other thing, and the last thing I'm going to tell you on this little video, the cool thing about small properties is you can really micromanage them. Just me and Genevieve can go in here and micromanage these properties. Down through here is one of the two big pockets of wild leeks, the wild ramps. And that is just a great spot for those. Every year they come up and it's like a 30 by 30 foot area, right? I am not going to change the balance of sunlight on the ground here. Not going to change that at all, because it would discourage the growth of those wild leeks. And I think that's my springtime delicacy, right? That's one of my favorite things that I look for every year during spring gobbler. About halfway through spring gobbler here in Pennsylvania, they start popping up all over the place. You can pickle them, we put them on salads, love that stuff. So that, and then there's another pocket down here. I'm not going to disturb that one either. Pretty cool stuff, huh, Genevieve?
Yeah.
That's a lot of talk, and I hope you got something out of this video. Please keep tuning into Death by Bunjie, and I hope you get something out of this habitat stuff. Even if you're not doing it, I hope you'll still check them out. Maybe you participate a little bit in this kind of stuff on your own property, or on a neighbor's property with permission, or on your friend's property. Good luck to you out there, and until next time, all hail Bunjie!